Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in this video, I wanted to talk about the momentum that AT&T is carrying into the fourth quarter with its mid-band deployment. So we have an article here from Light Reading. I will leave it in the description down below. This article is from Phil Harvey. So you guys could check it out in its entirety. It will be in the description down below. So the title says, what's behind AT&T's mid-band momentum? So earlier in the year, there was an analyst day, and the guidance for the end of this year that AT&T gave at the analyst day was that they would hit only 70 million pops of C-band by the end of this year, which many said was relatively low versus what its competitors were doing, right? Verizon was gonna do 175, T-Mobile was gonna do 260, AT&T was just gonna be way behind. And then at that time, AT&T didn't have much C-band deployed. I think at that time is when they announced maybe 6, 7 markets that had C-band actively deployed at the time. And that was right around the time when Verizon announced 100 million pops of C-band. AT&T announced like 6, 7, maybe 8 markets that were deployed with C-band. And some were estimating that was probably around 10, maybe 20 million pops that they covered at that time. So then AT&T got going, and at some point the supply must have stabilized, because they did say they were the first to push the narrative that there was a supply chain shortage. And at some point it must have stabilized, because at the end of the third quarter, they announced that they hit 100 million pops, which is already 30 million more than what they guided for the whole year. And they are guiding that they can do more than 130 million by the end of the year, which is 3 more months, right? The end of the third quarter was September 30th. So they got October, they got November, they got December to work and accelerate that deployment. I predict they do 140 to 150 million before the year is out. And that's my prediction is with some of the numbers that I've seen internally and from what I'm hearing on the pace, right? Some of these sites in Samsung markets where they're ripping Nokia and putting Samsung, Verizon is spending a week to 2, sometimes 3 weeks. AT&T did a lot of the BBU work during FirstNet. So they go to a site, they spend maybe a day or 2 and they're gone. They're in and out. So what I'm hearing, and this is from internal town halls, just projections, I'm hearing AT&T is going to be very, very close to catching up Verizon around the end of the first quarter 2023. That's what I'm hearing. Some people believe it, some people don't. But AT&T is on a tear. And AT&T did not have to do a full rip and replace from one vendor to another. They are sticking to Ericsson. They are sticking to Nokia. Now, I have been hearing that AT&T did test the Samsung equipment out in the Dallas market, but that ended up falling through from what I'm hearing. They tested the Samsung equipment on the millimeter wave side, and I did hear that they did test some of that C-band, and nothing else came out of that. So they are full blast going with Nokia, and they're continuing with Ericsson, and they are moving at an incredible pace. People are still telling me they're moving faster than Verizon. In some of the markets that AT&T is now getting into, there are quite a few areas of radius where AT&T has C-band now and Verizon hasn't even touched. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all transpires. If at the end of the first quarter 23, Verizon gets to 200 million and AT&T gets to 185 million, I think that's very close. And I would confidently now say that they both are moving faster than anything that T-Mobile did with 2.5 out the gates. T-Mobile started out the gates with 2.5 in April of 2020, and in that first year they got to 106 million covered with 2.5. Verizon and AT&T are clearly moving faster when it comes to that full on comparison. And also, to close out the video, and it's also stated in this article, apparently AT&T was basing their guidance off of a lab test and that lab test did not show such great propagation on the C-band. When they deployed it in the real world setting and they started testing it, they noticed that the propagation was way better, indoor penetration was way better versus what the results they got in the lab test. So oftentimes that can vary versus what they were seeing in the lab testing. Now versus seeing that in the real world, it led to them being able to cover many more pops with C-band. So leave all your comments in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.